et l'ensemble des invités ici présents. Donc c'est un moment d'échange qui va démarrer aujourd'hui, qui va se poursuivre demain et après-demain, et dans le cadre de ce CAPEC 24 sur le thème « Instaurer la confiance, pacifier le pouvoir et connecter les réalités ». Donc cette rencontre s'inscrit, comme vous le savez, dans un processus visant à engager nos institutions et nos communautés dans la mise en œuvre effective du développement sociopolitique à la base, donc ayant comme base la confiance. Parce qu'il est clair que sans confiance, l'engagement citoyen n'est pas possible. C'est un pilier pour le processus de paix et de gouvernance démocratique. Comme vous le savez, les profondes mutations qui s'opèrent aujourd'hui nous interpellent tous au plus haut niveau et nous projettent dans des défis majeurs auxquels nous devons faire face. Et pour y arriver, pour nous comptons sur des partenariats stratégiques, des partenariats collaboratifs, sur une action collective au service de tous les citoyens. Et c'est là l'esprit du partenariat entre KPSR, REPAOC, Gore Institute et tous les acteurs ici présents. Il est nécessaire de faire face pour nous et de retrousser nos manches pour arriver à nos objectifs, pour aplanir les obstacles, relever les défis pour une Afrique paisible et prospère. Et nous pensons fondamentalement que cette Afrique paisible et prospère passera par des États démocratiques et efficaces, des citoyens ouverts et formés et informés, une société civile forte et indépendante et professionnelle, et un secteur privé transparent. C'est important. Mais tout ça au cœur de nos interventions, les citoyens, nos communautés. Donc, mesdames, messieurs, honorables invités, donc nous voudrions assurer de notre disponibilité en tant qu'institution panafricaine, Centre pour la démocratie, le développement et la culture en Afrique, pour s'engager davantage pour l'instauration d'une synergie dynamique entre la théorie et la pratique. La théorie à travers la recherche, parce que nous nous définissons comme un knowledge center, mais la pratique au service aussi de nos communautés pour une transformation positive de nos sociétés. Donc c'est sur ces mots d'engagement que je voudrais souhaiter à tous et à toutes plein succès pour nos travaux, mais par la même occasion, vous souhaitez la bienvenue, mais vous souhaitez aussi un excellent séjour au Sénégal, terre de la Teranga, mais plus particulièrement sur notre île de Gorée, patrimoine mondial de l'humanité. Je vous remercie. À présent, je vais passer la parole à Madame Maria Esvelt. Maria, qui nous vient du ministère des Affaires étrangères des Pays-Bas. Je vous remercie. Maria, you have the floor.
Bonjour tout le monde. Je vais changer en anglais, donc ça prend peut-être un peu de temps. Mais ça va, merci. Donc, thank you very much for coming here and a warm welcome here in Institut Gorée. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Doudou and Institut Gorée for your hospitality. And I also would like to thank REPAOC and the KPSRL for organizing this wonderful conference here in Senegal. While I was preparing for my visit here, I found out that the name of this island, Île de Gorée, actually is related to the country where I come from. It's a Dutch name coming from either the island of Goeree or the city of Goede Rede, we don't know yet. But anyway, it is a clear sign that we also have a history here at this island. And I think it's a history that is very infamous, a history of slavery, in which the Netherlands also played a very, bad role, actually. And so it's very nice to see that after hundreds of years where the Netherlands has played a role internationally to break trust, to break social contract between citizens and the government, that we are now here to help rebuild it after so many years of colonialism and other terrible things that we have done in the past. So it makes me humble to be here, but it also makes me very happy to be here. And I see people from all over the region, and I'm so glad that this has really turned out reality. We hoped that people would come from Niamey, from Niger, from Mali, from Togo, from I don't know wherever, but you are all here, Niger, so thank you very much. Well, the KPSRL, the knowledge platform, has worked over a decade to create connections between the people in the world. First maybe in our own region, but more and more in other regions and other parts of the world. And I think it's of great value that we meet here to exchange with each other what does work, what does not work, to sharpen our minds and to make sure that we go home energized and with new ideas to continue to work on peace, stability and security worldwide. And it's not just that, you know that we are under pressure worldwide, and I'm talking to the choir here. We know that in many countries, including our own country in the Netherlands, we see more and more pressure upon real democracy. But I wanted to discuss with you that, yes, we need knowledge. We need to exchange what works, but what doesn't work. But we also need to use that knowledge and to try to influence policymakers. So I want to underline that we are not here just to become better academia, to become better experts, but we are also here to multiply the word and to make sure that the people who matter in your country and in our country listen what we have to say. And so we also have to work on a narrative that it's not just about food security, it's not just about water. And like my minister, she says, well, let we just increase food security programming, then peace will automatically be the result. No, it's not just about food and water, it's about the social contract, it's about trust, it's about how food and water are being distributed, it's about power. And I think this message needs to be brought across much stronger these days. The theme of this year's conference is indeed building trust, pacifying power and connecting realities. Building trust, I just mentioned, you need this trust, and Mr. Doudou also referred to confiance, that the importance of having trust in an institute or in a government in order to continue to work. For that, I'm also very happy to have noticed that last weekend you had elections here in Senegal, and these elections were done in a relatively calm way and had a nice output, and I think it's a nice sign, a beacon of hope, so to say, that here in Senegal there is a democracy that functions and that functions relatively well. So that's also very happy. That's also why I'm very happy to be here in Senegal. I think it's really a beacon of hope in the region in that sense. Pacifying power. We see that differences between countries and groups are often magnified, again, also in our country. And the willingness to resolve disputes violently seemed to increase. So how do we ensure that we keep incentives in place to talk and to enter into peaceful resolutions rather than just fights? We also need to bring across the message that winning is not it's not a zero-sum game. It's not that if you win, they will lose. Then we will end nowhere. Winning is really about coming together and having a consensus. Lastly, we are talking about connecting realities. These realities are worsened by social media or not so social media. And we are only on a daily basis confirmed of our own values and visions and are being less and less confronted with the visions of others. So how do we prevent, as a result of that we have our own blind spots? So this conference is also really an invitation to you all to go and think by yourself, do I have blind spots? Am I as open as I want to be? So also please talk to everyone, not even if you don't know your neighbor, talk to him or her and see if you have blind spots. I think it's great to see that we already have such a nice melange of people in this room. I think this is already a very good start of the conference. And also I read in the program that there are already new alliances being set up as a result of this conference, or maybe due to this conference. For instance, the African Alliance for People-Centered Justice, which will be launched shortly. I think this is a wonderful example of how meetings like these can bring people together and can magnify our individual activities. As some may have seen or heard, this is maybe a less nice message that I have to share with you as well, is that our Ministry of Foreign Affairs is under scrutiny. We will have huge budget cuts, and as a result of that, we are also entering into a new phase with the Knowledge Platform. We have asked the Knowledge Platform to phase out the current activities under our current contract, and we will invite the Knowledge Platform together with you to find new ways to promote knowledge sharing. It's with that sadness in my heart that I even feel the necessity of this conference even more than I did before I came here. We are here not only because we, the Netherlands government, would like you to be here, but hopefully also because you want to be here. So let's see if this energy can be multiplied and can be geared towards new ways of collaboration in the future. I wish you a very good conference. I will be around myself. Please inform me as well, because I also would like to learn more from you. And I'm very much looking forward to getting to know you all even better than I do. Thank you so much. Apologies. I'm now handing over to Komi from Repal. Thank you.
Bonjour à toutes, bonjour à tous. Bonjour. Merci infiniment de nous associer à l'Eureporc à cette conférence annuelle d'échange ou de gestion de connaissances. Je suis Komi Abitor, le président en exercice du conseil d'administration du REPAOC, le réseau des plateformes d'associations ONG en Afrique de l'Ouest. Le siège était à Dakar et nous voudrions d'entrée remercier les organisateurs de cette conférence et surtout de nous donner l'occasion d'être partie prenante et de participer à ces échanges qui sont de nature à nous rapprocher, nous, organisations de la société civile, de tous les bords, de toutes les sensibilités, mais surtout convaincus que nous ne saurons rien faire s'il n'y a pas la paix. Et je voudrais remercier Madame la représentante du ministère néerlandais des Affaires étrangères qui a voulu être présente à ces assises, qui, j'en doute pas, nous donneront l'occasion de mieux nous connaître, nous découvrir et de nous rendre compte que partout où on est, on participe à la construction d'un idéal qui facilite la pacification des peuples et qui nous aide à aller de l'avant et à juguler les problèmes auxquels nous sommes confrontés partout où nous sommes. Je ne vais pas parler comme un politique ni comme un philosophe, mais je vais relever 2 points qui justifient notre intérêt pour ces assises. Le premier point, c'est que nous sommes un réseau qui intervient dans 15 pays d'Afrique de l'Ouest. Comme on a coutume et l'ambition de le dire, c'est que nous sommes la société civile de la CEDEAO. Et nous représentons la majeure partie des pays qui composent cette sous-région, même si depuis quelques années, on a vu nos voisins, certains de nos voisins qui ont tenté de se mettre ensemble. Mais cette assise est la preuve qu'il ne s'agit que d'un regroupement politique. Mais au niveau des peuples, nous œuvrons tous pour qu'il y ait la paix et qu'il y ait plus de connectivité et qu'il y ait plus de mutualisation de nos réflexions, de nos savoir-faire et de nos moyens pour le bien-être de nos populations. Quand madame parlait tout à l'heure, il y a une idée qui m'est venue. En septembre 2013, quand nos dirigeants s'étaient retrouvés pour adopter les ODD comme nouveau paradigme qui devait prévaloir en matière de développement, la paix, la construction de la paix constituait un des 5 objectifs conditionnels qui avaient été définis à la suite des OMD. Mais lorsqu'on fait l'évaluation aujourd'hui, pour voir ce qui a été fait pour pacifier les peuples, pour contribuer à asseoir les modes de fonctionnement, les modes opératoires qui favorisent le vivre ensemble, la pacification, la paix dans nos pays ou sur notre planète Terre, on peut dire que les organisations de la société civile ont été les champions. Notre mode opératoire nous permet, quelles que soient nos origines, de nous asseoir, de parler sans qu'il y ait crépitement d'armes. Il y a d'autres qui usent d'armes, de beaucoup de budget, pour faire plutôt sévir la terreur, pour faire parler leur force, mais nous en douce, on a un savoir-faire dont ils ont besoin pour pacifier le monde. Et c'est en cela que participer à ces échanges de ces 3 jours nous importe au niveau du REPAOC. Parce qu'une de nos valeurs, c'est la connexion. Connecter les réseaux entre eux, les plateformes nationales, connecter les organisations à l'échelle nationale et par-delà, participer activement et positivement à l'influence des politiques publiques. Lesquelles politiques publiques aujourd'hui sont bâties non pas pour faire face véritablement aux besoins de nos populations, mais pour faire en sorte que les ressources naturelles qui existent partout où elles sont soient de plus en plus exploitées par ceux que nous connaissons tous. Quelqu'un a parlé tout à l'heure pour dire, pour qu'on aille loin, il faut que le secteur privé soit transparent. Comment voudrez-vous qu'il soit transparent lorsque pour accéder aux ressources naturelles, on leur accorde, on leur donne des avantages, des privilèges que tous n'ont pas. C'est en cela que je vais finir en disant, le REPAOC, depuis sa création, a participé à la réalisation de bien des actions qui ont renforcé ses membres, qui ont permis à ses membres d'être de véritables porte-voix des sans-voix, qui sont les populations pour lesquelles, les populations vulnérables, des zones rurales, des zones défavorisées, pour lesquelles nous sommes engagés en tant qu'association, en tant qu'ONG, en tant que plateforme. Et le REPAOC a contribué fortement en partenariat avec des organisations européennes notamment pour renforcer les capacités de ces organisations. Mais depuis 5 ans, en réfléchissant, nous avons trouvé qu'il est opportun de nous ouvrir à d'autres partenariats, de nous ouvrir à d'autres acteurs qui travaillent sur des axes qui, pris à notre niveau, permettront d'améliorer notre efficacité et de nous rendre pertinents dans les services que nous rendons à nos membres. Et c'est en cela que l'opportunité qui nous est offerte de nous associer à ces échanges en est une de nos attentes, parce que nous voudrions nous ouvrir à d'autres. Et comme madame l'a dit, nous aussi en Afrique de l'Ouest, nous aussi au REPAOC, nous avons envie d'entrer dans un réseau plus large qui permet d'échanger nos pratiques, de catalyser ce que nous avons déjà fait, de mettre en lumière ce que nos membres qui sont dans le fin fond, à Kandadji, dans le fond à Diarkpanga, dans le fond à Tombouctou, tout ce qu'ils font là-bas, mettre la lumière sur ça et permettre de tirer meilleur profit de ce qu'ils font pour contribuer à la pacification de ce monde. Je voudrais encore une fois remercier chacun et chacune d'entre nous. Il n'y a pas quelqu'un qui est plus intelligent que l'autre en venant ici. Il n'y a pas une pratique qui est meilleure que l'autre lorsque nous sommes ici. Je pense qu'en c'est ensemble que nous pourrions construire ou poser les bases de la pacification de notre monde qui est unique. Et c'est en cela que je voudrais nous féliciter, nous, d'être partie prenante à ces échanges. Et nous voudrions remercier le Gorée Institute pour ce cadre somptueux dans lequel se déroulent les assises. Et je voudrais souhaiter que ces assises nous permettent de nous renforcer mutuellement. Je vous remercie. Let me give the floor to my colleague.
Hello, welcome everyone. First of all, apologies, I don't speak French in a Francophone space. My name is Sever Jigurski and I am head of Secretariat of the Knowledge Platform Security and Rule of Law. I hope you all traveled and arrived well and are as excited as I am to be here. Knowledge Platform has been there since 2012, and this is only second time that our flagship annual conference is taking place outside of The Hague, with the intention to be closer to realities we are talking about. And while it was really a challenge for us to pull it off here in Francophone space, given that the whole Secretariat has 1.5 French speaker, we are so proud of this effort because it was so worthwhile. Particularly because we've observed over time that French-speaking people and initiatives have limited spaces for interaction and engagement and are among those less heard and with less influence. These are tense times. There is tension and there is solidarity and support are more than needed. And as we are experiencing different emotions and coping mechanisms that may be fear or uncertainty or anger or frustration in an increasingly polarized world, I think it is even more so important to come together and for solidarity and support. Uncertainty is also what KPSL is going through, as you heard from Mariam. And this is something that is highly on the agenda for us at this moment, and we are excited to open up some spaces for discussions about what the future may hold. Because while there may not be secretariat in this shape and form and location, or may not be next year annual conference on this scale, it doesn't mean there will not be a network. Because network is you, and all other almost 7,000 people around the world that are in one way or another connected to KPSRL. It's your ideas, your work, your experiences, your knowledges, and as Komi emphasized, connections between us that create network. And networks expand and shrink and transform, and we are curious what the future may look like. And that's why we would like, we will initiate conversations about the future here in the car on third day. We will have a session, but also in the follow-up event in The Hague in December. So I really invite you to engage in these discussions because what this network is your energies. I will then maybe just, before I wrap up with thank you notes, I will just address few technical things about the privacy. We really want this to be a safe space. There was a question in registrations about appearing or not on photos, but please flag to Eveline if you have concerns about your privacy. And sessions will be held in person. We will follow Chatham House rules. the only digital connections will be that people are calling in as contributors. Apart from that, we are relying on IT support for some in translations and stuff, but we are really aiming to create a safe space. I was also just as to make sure that you're all aware about ferries back. There is a ferry at 7 p.m. There is ferry at 8:30, and then only close to midnight. So depending on your level of energy, aim to catch the ferry at 7 or 8:30, the latest. With that, I would just like quickly to really emphasize how grateful we are for all the constructive, collaborative work and support we experience with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands, and encouraging us of Maria, in a sense, let's see how we figure out this. To co-hosts, Gore and Repok, I mean, this kind of people and diversity couldn't be brought together in this space without you. We are really grateful for all the collaboration. To my team, and I really want to mention all names, particularly Messina, who is that one French speaker, and as such carried too much on her shoulders. Of course, then Fiona, Evelyn, Giorgio, Christian, amazing work for this conference, but also with all uncertainty, the level of enthusiasm and energy the team has been putting throughout the year is just impressive and so inspiring. The embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands has been so supportive. Anne-Sophie, I have to mention your name. This was really amazing how you've been supporting us. And but then there would be no program without session leads. Thank you so much for these contributions and effort you put in preparing, and I'm excited to see how the program will unfold. But then finally there would be no KPAC and there would be no KPSL without participants and people. Thank you all. Thanks to all of you for being here. Enjoy coming days and yeah, challenge each other, dare each other, have fun, laugh, cry, however you feel. I'm looking forward to sharing all this with you. And with that, I would like to pass the floor to Fernando Marani and people that will accompany him at the stage to take us through the launch of the Alliance. Okay. As there is a swap of people on the stage, just to make sure that we're all aware, not assuming you all know the now pace and lineup. After that, we invite you to mingle around, get to know each other, learn about initiatives, ideas, and experiences that are presented on the marketplace of ideas that is out, to check the exhibition of some of the creative contributions. And after that, we will all be walking a few minutes to Soros residence, where we will have a cocktail.
Okay, good afternoon. Bonjour à tous. Excuse me, I also have to go into English. My French is limited to survive around the city, have fun, order a beer, but not much more than that. So thank you for welcoming us. I really need to thank, first of all, the Knowledge Platform for giving us this opportunity to be here in Dakar to launch the African Alliance for People-Centered Justice. I'm Fernando Marani. I'm the Program Director of Justice, Equality and Inclusion at the Pathfinders. The Pathfinders for a Peaceful, Just and Inclusive Society was an alliance that was launched in 2016. It was created right after the adoption of the Agenda 2030 to unpack the SDG 16 and to try to understand how we can work together through partnerships to make our societies more peaceful, more just, just and more inclusive. The Pathfinders brings together 46 governments from around the world. As you can see, I'm not from Africa, I'm not from New York where we're based, I'm from Argentina. We have colleagues from Asia, from Europe, and we really try to work together with the civil society, the academia, the governments, and the international organizations to advance SDG 16. And let me tell you that right after the creation of the Pathfinders, one thing was obvious. Like, we cannot have better societies, just societies, if there is no justice. And not the justice as we traditionally know it, but the justice that is really centered around the people, around the people's needs, around the people understanding of the daily life limitations, and to get out, get out the judges outside of their courts, get out the lawyers outside of the universities, and really make them talk with the people and find solutions for the justice gap that we have in the world. Based on that, we in 2021, we created a political leadership alliance that is called the Justice Action Coalition. The Justice Action Coalition is working also with the international organizations, Pathfinders together with UNDP and the OECD. We serve as Secretariat of the Justice Action Coalition, and we've been trying to find what's the best way to promote this idea of people-centered justice. And let me tell you a secret before we go on. I was not supposed to be here today. It was supposed to be my colleague, Themba Machileka. He is from Zimbabwe. He has been the focal point leading in the creation of this alliance. Unfortunately, for traveling inconvenience, he could not be here today, but we have him on Zoom to give us a little message. But I'm glad that I'm here because, as I said, I'm from Argentina, so I can tell you I come from the future. 2 years ago, we launched the Ibero-American Alliance of People-Centered Justice. And I can tell you how amazing that was to really create the synergies, to give voice to civil society, to sit them with the governments, to make us together think how we can reform the justice system in a way that really put people in the center. In 2 years, we really move a lot. We are even now discussing a regional treaty on people-centered justice and access to justice. So we are really hopeful that in 2 years' time, we can convene again, and someone maybe from Africa is telling the Asian Pacific regions, like, you have to do this. The Lion is the way to go ahead and to really, get the justice outside of the courtroom and bring it to the people. So with that, just let me pass the floor to Themba. Themba, can you tell us a bit of what is all the idea behind the African Alliance? Sorry, there is no audio in the room. Let me check if we can solve that. Can you try again? One second. Can you try again? Not yet. Can you try it again, Themba? No, not yet. One minute. Okay. So Themba, we will get back to you in 5 minutes. let's move ahead with the program so we don't delay the program, and sorry for this hiccup. So let me move to listen to the people who is working in the continent. As you know, Themba and myself, we as Pathfinders were hosted by the Center of International Cooperation in New York. So we also thought it was great to bring you today people who is actually working on the continent on people-centered justice and trying to see how we can unlock the potential of people-centered justice in the African continent. And so first I will start with Judge Mbele, if she could take the floor and give us a bit. She's the Deputy Judge President of the Free State Division High Court in South Africa. So, Judge, you have the floor for a few minutes.
Thank you, Fernando. May I stand on the protocol already established? It gives me great pleasure to address you today. I've been invited to speak on people-centered justice. And may I, on that note, also apologize that I can't speak French. The world we live in is a law-thick world. All aspects of life are impacted by laws, regulations, rights, and responsibilities. From the moment a person is born, through education, housing, employment, transport, health, to the end of life, the law impacts their day-to-day life and economic and social well-being. As such, legal and justice needs are common in the lives of most people. Addressing legal and justice needs demands access to public justice, services, and other dispute resolution mechanisms in order to recognize and obtain a remedy to the legal need in question, thus giving place to justice needs. The ability of the legal and justice system to effectively respond and address those needs for all people and generate fair outcomes is critical to ensure well-being, equal opportunity, and access to public services. Conversely, the inability of justice systems to prevent or resolve people's legal issues can weaken the social contract and lead to unresolved grievances, instability, or even violence. Let me just begin by telling you a story, a horrible story in the history of our young democracy in South Africa. The life Esidimeni tragedy. 144 mentally ill people died after the government moved them out of the private health care facility called Life Esidimeni after the 1st of October 2015, that is according to the report presented by the former Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke in 2018. The government moved the patients to facilities around Johannesburg, which were found to be ill-equipped and understaffed. The facilities were operating as non-governmental organizations. The type of facilities used by the NGOs ranged from houses and shacks to inappropriate clinics in townships. This is what was found by the former DCJ Moseneke, Justice Moseneke. The patients were moved precisely from a private healthcare facility to less ideal sites by the government. The death of 143 people was a catastrophe no matter how one looks at it. It fittingly shocked the whole nation, and I believe the world. The live esidimeni arbitration was established following recommendations of the whole health ombudsperson. The report into the circumstances surrounding the deaths of mentally ill patients. Legal Aid South Africa funded and represented the affected families. In March 2018, the arbitrator, former Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Moseneke, found that the decision to move the patients had been irrational and blatant breach of the law and the Constitution, an irrational and arrogant use of public power. He ruled that families of the affected patients should each be paid 1.2 million. In April 2017, dockets were referred to the National Prosecuting Authority, and on 19 July 2021, a judicial inquest commenced in the Pretoria High Court to determine the legal cause of each patient's death, with a view towards establishing criminal liability. Legal Aid South Africa funded the Section 27 non-governmental organization, which represented 63 families of the deceased, and Legal Aid South Africa represented 67 families of the surviving victims, including assisting with the disbursements of the compensation funds from the Gauteng Department of Health to the families of the victims. This is just one of the story, showing how people experience justice problems and what happens when policies are designed without considering real needs of the people, and when real needs of the people are not at the center. Justice services also often remain fragmented or inadequate. In many jurisdictions, there is no fully developed continuum of options for identifying, anticipating, preventing, and resolving legal issues, often owing to weak referral and trial systems among the institutions involved. The focus on court and litigation-centered silo models can further undermine the ability of the justice systems to enable access to justice for all. It is illustrative of millions, even billions of people's experience of justice problems the world over. According to a 2019 World Justice Project study aimed at measuring the justice gap globally, 2.1 billion people are employed in the informal economy, 1.1 billion are victims of non-violent crimes such as burglary or theft annually, 2.3 billion lack proof of secure housing or land tenure rights, and 1.4 billion have unmet civil or administrative justice needs. Many of these circumstances are overlapping and compounded disproportionately in impoverished and otherwise marginalized populations. We are here today to explore a reorientation of our justice policy making in order to take as a point of departure the experience of people like the life esidimeni victims. For far too long, and in too many jurisdictions, we have approached the justice system strengthening from the perspective of institutions. We have asked what judges, lawyers, prosecutors, and bar associations need to do their jobs better, without fully understanding the needs of the people those institutions and actors are meant to serve. By contrast, people-centered justice flips that approach on its head. It begins with a mapping of people's justice needs, the ways in which they solve their justice problems, and the obstacles they face in doing so. Armed with this understanding of what has been referred to as people's justice journeys, we can design justice institutions and policy interventions to meet people's needs more effectively. The importance of transforming justice to center on people was acknowledged in the 2018 Riga Statement on investing in access to justice for all. The statement strongly recommended that action be taken to invest in access to justice for all to foster inclusive growth and implement the 2030 agenda. It emphasized the importance of measuring progress in access to justice from the people's perspective and called on the international community to develop tools to support countries' efforts to better understand and address legal and justice needs. The statement also called for a deeper understanding of the needs of disadvantaged people who face particular barriers in accessing justice. It highlighted the importance of innovative approaches in the delivery of people-centered justice services to meet diverse and justice needs, to meet diverse legal and justice needs, and empower individuals, communities, and businesses. Participants called for concerted action at the local, national, and global levels to achieve equal access to justice for all, specifically for women, indigenous communities, and vulnerable groups. The application of people-centered concepts to justice system is relatively new, first appearing as client-centered services in the early 2000s. A number of similar and or related terms have been used, including citizen-centered, person-centered, human-centered, and people-centered design. It is necessary to define these terms in the attempt to define people-centered access to justice. And it is important to note that other sectors, such as health, have a longer and deeper history in the application of similar concepts. What do I mean by people-centered justice? People-centricity means taking the needs and voices of people into account when designing, delivering, implementing, and evaluating public policies and services. People-centered services are inclusive, tailored to people's needs, and high quality. This differs from justice systems whose reforms are primarily inspired by the needs or views of the service providers. What difference does this shift in perspective make in our justice policy? It makes a big difference. The World Justice Project, an independent multidisciplinary organization working to advance the rule of law worldwide, released groundbreaking survey results on access to justice around the world, representing the voices of more than 100,000 people in 101 countries. This data reveals the scope and depth of legal problems ordinary people face all over the world, including problems related to employment, housing, education, health, and family life. Key findings from this study include justice problems are ubiquitous and frequent. Approximately 49% of people surveyed experienced at least one legal problem in the last 2 years. While the prevalence and severity of problems varies by country, the most common problems relate to consumer issues, housing, and money and debt. This can include problems with the landlord over rent, repairs or payments, problems with neighbors over noise or litter, becoming homeless, disputes over poor or incomplete professional services, problems with a utility bill or supply, insurance claims being denied, threats from debt collectors, extortion from a gang or other criminal organization, difficulty collecting money owed to you, and many more. The Global Insights on Access to Justice 2019, justice problems negatively impact people's lives. 43% of those surveyed reported that their legal problem adversely impacted their lives. More than 1 in 4 people, that is 29%, reported that they experienced physical or stress-related ill health as a result of their legal problem. And more than 1 in 5 people, that is 23%, reported that they lost their job or had to relocate as a result. Most people do not turn to lawyers and courts. Less than a third, 29% of people who experienced a legal problem sought any form of advice for help to help them better understand or resolve their problem. And those who did seek assistance preferred to turn to family. and friends or friends. Even fewer, 17% took their problem to an authority or third party to mediate or adjudicate their problem, with most preferring to negotiate directly with the other party. People face a variety of obstacles to meeting their justice needs, beginning with their ability to recognize their problems as having a legal remedy. Indeed, fewer than 1 in 3 people, 29%, understood their problem to be legal in nature as opposed to bad luck or a community matter. As mentioned above, less than a third of those surveyed above obtained advice from a person or organization that could help them better understand or resolve their problem. And 1 in 6, that is 16%, reported that it was difficult to or nearly impossible to find the money required to resolve their problem. About the same proportion, 17%, reported that their justice problem persists, but they have given up any action to try to resolve it further, with another 39% reporting that their problem is still ongoing. Justice policy that takes on board this data about people's justice journeys looks very different. Rather than reinforcing institutions to which people do not turn, a people-centered justice policy focuses on understanding people's justice needs and transforming justice institutions and other services to meet those needs. Let me mention just 4 ways in which a people-centered approach looks different. A people-centered approach to justice will emphasize a strengthened data ecosystem to capture through legal needs, surveys, and administrative data a clear picture of people's justice needs and experiences. Imagine a healthcare system where we did not know the prevalence of illnesses we were trying to prevent or treat. That's where we are with respect to data about justice needs in most jurisdictions. A people-centered approach will employ preventive strategies to address the root cause of prevalent justice problems. Again, imagine a public health system where we poured resources into hospitals, but not vaccination programs. A people-centered approach will emphasize information and education about legal rights and remedies, so people can come to understand the justice services available to them. And a people-centered approach will focus on removing barriers to assistance, including issues such as language, the physical location and cost of services, as well as excessive regulatory restrictions of the provision of basic legal services. It will take advantage of cross-sectoral collaboration between the justice system and the health, education, and other social services systems to meet people where they are with the justice services they need. People-centered justice emphasizes our commitment to social justice, which is the bedrock on which a thriving and coherent society is built. It is not merely a concept, but a commitment to ensuring that every individual, irrespective of conditions that make them vulnerable, for example, racism, gender inequity, or economic status, enjoy the same rights and opportunities. This, I'm being threatened here. The framework to people-centered justice, just 1 minute. Designing and delivering people-centered services. This pillar focuses on the design, establishment, and maintenance of legal and justice service delivery in line with 2019 OECD criteria for people-centered design and delivery of legal and justice services. For example, it deals with how the justice system focuses on people in identifying the legal and justice needs of society, the most vulnerable groups, the barriers they face to accessing justice, and leveling the playing field for all through the appropriate services. Governance, enablers, and infrastructure. This pillar concerns the role of government and other key justice actors and governance enablers in establishing justice systems that are accessible and ensure legal and justice needs of people are effectively addressed. This pillar incorporates approaches to establishing whole of government systems to ensure access to the technology and to justice services. Justice system is simplification and people-centered orientation of justice services. I'm going straight to the conclusion. Taking a people-centered approach to justice requires a major change in the way we do justice system strengthening here in Africa. The good news is that, as evidenced by this conference, that shift is well underway. African Alliance for People-Centered Justice, serving as the leading voice of all interested on the continent and undertaking rule of law development assistance across the continent, is uniquely positioned to drive forward this paradigm shift in justice sector or policy making. And I commend you for convening us for this important discussion about just how we go about a pivot to people-centered justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge, for the passion to showcase in yourself how the legal justice system can actually listen to the people's need and really give us a clear understanding of the scope of the justice gap and the justice problem. Themba, I think that the technical problem is solved, so let's try if we can hear from you.
Okay, can you hear me, Fernando?
Yes, we hear you.
Great. Good day, everyone in Senegal and those of us joining online. My name is Themba Mashlega and I'm a Senior Program Officer with the Pathfinders for Peaceful, Just and Inclusive Societies. And Fernando really helped give some context about, some of the other projects we have been supporting as the Pathfinders and together with our partners such as the Justice Action Coalition and the Ibero-American Alliance for Access to Justice. And Judge Mbele really gave a great framing of what it is that we talk about when we mean people-centered justice, which I think is a perfect opportunity for me to also just build on that context and say that, with this understanding of the benefits and potential benefits of people-centered justice, about a year ago as Pathfinders, again consulting various partners, we went on a mapping exercise to understand what are the challenges and opportunities on the African continent. And what we found was a lot of people-centered approaches to justice taking place, such as the alternative justice system policy in Kenya, the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency in Lagos State in Nigeria, Community Advice Offices of South Africa, and Sierra Leone's Legal Aid Board Service. Just a few examples of these people-centered approaches to justice that were happening. We also, found that while this was taking place, in many instances there wasn't enough exchange around learning and support for these practices from a country to country perspective or from a regional perspective. We also found that an alliance of this nature doesn't currently exist on our continent, not in the way that we envisage it. Of course, there are movements that we seek to collaborate with and cooperate with that are focusing on various types of justice, and we hope to bring that under the umbrella of people-centered approaches to justice. We also noted strong thematic connections with the African Union's Agenda 2063 and the SDGs as well. Of course, Africa is the continent of the future, with the world's highest birth rates and a population standing well over 1.4 billion as we speak. And so as the continent of the future, we also need to build and support the development by promoting people-centered approaches to justice. So this is some of the background and what inspired us to come together, consult with partners, and and work on this project. As you will hear shortly from Deputy Minister Cisse from Sierra Leone, what the alliance is and what it intends to do. But also, following that, I would like to invite you all to look at the website that we have put together that has been officially launched today, that will show the strategy of the alliance, what the alliance seeks to do, as well as who our other partners are. As I said, this has been a really collective effort, and we have a group of founding members that are part of the alliance. And so that information is now available online, and invite you all to do so. But in the interest of time, just want to thank you, Fernando, and hand over back to you.
Thank you, Temba. And now we will move into the next speaker that is also connected online, Deputy Minister of Justice from Sierra Leone, Alpha Cisse. Dear Minister, if you are there, please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, Fernando. Good afternoon, colleagues. I hope there are no problems with the sound, and that you all can hear me very clearly.
Yes.
Great. Good. Thank you again, Fernando and colleagues. First, I'd like to really apologize that I have to do this remotely. I'd actually planned to be with you all in Senegal. I was looking forward to being there. It's always a very warm place to welcome to visit, and so I was really looking forward to interacting with you all and to be part of the broader discussions beyond just this statement. But something came up at the very last minute, and I was forced to cancel my trip. But I'm really grateful that we could the opportunity to do this virtually. So thank you again for the opportunity to do this. So again, good afternoon, and distinguished guests, esteemed partners and advocates for justice. Thank you for joining us today as we launch a new and transformative initiative, which, as you have heard, is the African Alliance on People-Centered Justice. The world today stands at a crossroads. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development set ambitious goals with a commitment to eradicate poverty, reduce inequality, foster shared prosperity, and protect our environment. At the heart of these objectives lies the principle of people-centered justice, a concept that holds the power to bring justice and fairness into the everyday lives of people across Africa. Yet, without urgent action, these global promises may remain unfulfilled, particularly in our pursuit of Sustainable Development Goal 16, which is equal access to justice for all. This goal, fundamental to peace, inclusion, and justice, aligns closely with Goal 11 of the African Union's Agenda 2063. Indeed, justice is recognized as the pillar of a peaceful, prosperous Africa, and these frameworks together offer an unprecedented opportunity to create a pathway towards equality and accountability across the continent. We are proud to announce the establishment of the African Alliance on People-Centered Justice, a high-ambition coalition of governmental, intergovernmental, and non-governmental organizations united in their commitment to justice. Our mission is to reduce the justice gap and promote equal access to justice for all Africans by advancing people-centered justice approaches at all levels. So why an alliance, and why now? Although many African nations have initiatives supporting people-centered justice, these efforts are often fragmented and isolated. To meet the scale of SDG 16 across our diverse continent, we must work together. The African Alliance on People-Centered Justice is a bold step towards that integration. It is designed to bring together stakeholders from across the continent to foster collaboration, to build on one another's strengths, and to harness the potential of global partnerships, including with the Justice Action Coalition and the Ibero-American Alliance on People-Centered Justice. As we embark on this journey, we are launching this initiative with partners from a select group of countries across East West and Southern Africa. This is just the beginning. It is our vision to expand this alliance across the entire African continent, celebrating the diverse languages, cultures, and traditions that make Africa unique. Together, we will work to create a shared understanding of people-centered justice, ensuring that justice delivery is not only fair, but also inclusive and accessible to all. The Alliance's 4-year strategic plan provides a clear roadmap to achieve our vision. It outlines 3 strategic goals. 1, to cultivate a shared understanding of people-centered justice among formal and informal justice actors across Africa. 2, to mainstream people-centered approaches in the justice delivery systems of our member countries. And 3, to expand the Alliance's reach to more countries and regions in Africa, creating a continent-wide network advocating for justice reform. Our strategy is built on a strong governance structure and the principle of incremental progress, recognizing the vast scale and diversity of our continent. We aim to build a foundation that is both strong and sustainable, enabling us to grow in reach and impact over time. Today, as we formally launch the African Alliance on People-Centered Justice, we take the first steps towards a future where justice is not only a distant ideal, but a lived reality for all. I invite each of you to join us in this endeavor, to contribute your voices, your expertise, and your commitment to this historic alliance. Together, we can close the justice gap and make equal access to justice a reality across Africa. And together, we can realize a future where justice is truly people-centered. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Unfortunately, we're running out of time because, and we want to be respectful for our host program, so we have only 3 more minutes left, and then we have 3 wonderful speakers that are going to be around the whole conference, so you can come approach and speak with them as well. But just let's go one by one, 1 minute each. First, I will start with the, and I'm sorry, yes, but we have to be respectful of our host. But I start with Abbas. Abbas is our youngest leader. What's the voice of the future? 1 minute. What would you like to see people-centered justice for young people?
Can I stand?
No. Sit just.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. In that minute, thank you so much. We are honored to be part of this particular discussion, representing not only young people across the continent, but millions of many groups of people who have been marginalized, who have suffered the injustice of justice that does not access them. And